the recording. So I want to say good morning again. Good morning, everyone. Happy to see you. Happy to be here. We're going to share. We are creating this video as well. I realize more and more that when people can't be in a space, they do tune in to the videos and they do get to share and be a part of what's happening. So we want to make sure that persons have that opportunity. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to share my screen and for us to see what's happening this morning. And so welcome to our BFEP outreach, where we talk about our schools needing more educators, Black educators answering the call. This is just one of 4 recordings that is online. You can find one also on our University of Toronto webpage, and I want everyone to be aware of that. So this morning, we are on the agenda. So today's agenda, and I just want to say thanks to the persons who participated in our 29th event. And so this morning in our agenda, of course, I'm going to be giving an additional welcome. Kadar will be doing a land acknowledgement, followed by Isaiah Forrest, both first-year students in our BFEP program. I'll do a quick presentation, and then we'll invite again AJ, Anthonia, Shelita, Melissa Francis, who's joining us, and Leslie Stewart Rose. And then we'll go in some quick Q&A. If you have questions as we are going along, I'm going to encourage you to ask those questions as we are going along, because last session, David Montemero, who was also here at the last session, who is an associate professor teaching stream in our department, and also one of the original coordinators of the BFEP program with myself, answered a lot of questions in the box, and we'll do the same today. I know AJ and Anthonia are very apt when it comes to those things to share information. And so at this time, I just want to take a minute to say welcome to everyone. Welcome in the space. Welcome to being here. The chat is open. You can always use the chat to ask a question, to make a comment. I also want to acknowledge Victor. Victor is in the room. Victor is the president of the present president of the MTBEA, which is the Master of Teaching Black Educators Association. We'll also talk about that a little bit, because that is the youth, the student-led group of the MTBEA. When it comes to developing a cohort like this, I want people to understand the power of the people in the room, and the power of who is present, and the power of community pulling together to do this work. And that is important. And so we're going to get right into it. So at this time, I'm gonna ask for I think it's Kadar. Kadar will do the land acknowledgement for us. Kadar, it's over to you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. We wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates for thousands of years as the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Sendat, the Seneca, the Haudenosaunee.
The Shannonee, or the Shannonee, Adi Shannonee.
Or the Shannonee of the credit, and the Nishabeg of the credit. I can't see. There's a box in the center of the screen.
Go ahead. Sorry.
For me. The Haudenosaunee, the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the credit. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're going to move right along to Isaiah, who is also a present first-year TC in our Master of Teaching program here, and a part of the BFEP. Isaiah, it's over to you.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. We acknowledge the Indigenous Africans who were forcefully removed from their native lands and dispersed across the New World. This involuntary migration heavily contributed to the movement of African-descended people across the African diaspora to places like Canada. As students and learners, we deem it highly necessary to think deeper and examine the process that led to this disposition of Indigenous peoples on the land and settler colonialism. Stolen people on stolen land. In entering a conversation about anti-Black racism, it is important to center the humanity of Black children and Black families and examine systems such as the education system that act upon them.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm going to say good morning again to everyone. Glad to have you here. I see some faces who were here the last time in the room. I got quite, just so you know, I got some emails. Also, the university, our MT program, got some emails afterwards. So you'll get to see those emails in the chat today. And you can absolutely send email if you need additional information on anything that was discussed today. Please do so. Before I get into the quick presentation and allow our speakers to share, one thing I want to let you know how beautiful it is that that last year in this event, I saw strange faces, and I saw faces, and I saw names, and I asked questions. Antonio, you were here as well. AJ, you were here as well. And then I turned up into the admission process to see those same names in the admission process. And then I turn up into OISE to see some of those same names in our class. So I know that this works. And application is, I want to say something very important so you could tell your friends. And I want to say, let me kind of pin myself a little bit so I could say this very, very, very clear. You will notice that there's a deadline for the admission, and that deadline has passed. I want you to understand that at the University of Toronto, especially in OISE, not just the Master of Teaching, we do have ongoing registration admission. We do have ongoing admission. So you may see that the November the 3rd may be the big day for closing of admission. Go into the file, the admission portal, and you'll realize that all BFEP, all MT applications admission portal is still open. And I can tell you for the recording, those will stay open to very early next year. So don't feel like the deadline is gone. Tell your friends it's not closed. They would say, yes, I see. Tell them, I say it's not closed. If they click on it, it will accept their admission, their application. So we're going to jump right into the conversation, and then I will ask the amazing people to speak, because that is important that we have those voices in the space for a reason. It's an absolute reason why we have those voices in the space, and you will get to see from the last videos and get to understand why those voices are so important in the space. So we move right along. So welcome to our program. I want to start today that I started a little bit different than last time with a picture of our group this year. These are the MT students. Kadar is in this picture as well, and I think I see Azai in the picture as well. These are our people. These are our students. Yes, Isaiah, I see the back there. These are our students. This is our first cohort. A number of persons were missing from this photo because this is orientation day, and this is our big launch. And so we're getting there. So if you go to the University of Toronto website, I think there's some people already putting stuff in the chat. I know Anthonia is on the ball as always. You see about the admission cycle. You see the admission page. It's right there. You can actually type in BFEP, OISE BFEP. So for those who are online, those who are listening to this video a week or 2 weeks from now, you can literally go in and Google BFEP OISE, and it will take you to all this amazing stuff. And so that is what is happening. That is how we are doing this work. And so this is formally known as the Access Pathway for Black Educators. And we seek, it's very intentional, because what we do, we seek to build an intentional pathway to attract future Black educators and provide them with the multifaceted support to assure their success. So 2 things I want to underline. This is not just a pathway to get you in, but it is also a way to ensure you stay in and you complete. And that is why the powerful voices like Antonia and AJ who have completed the program, I've always invite them back to be a part of this, because getting into a university is one thing. Staying and completing the program is another thing. And that is important that we understand that. I also want to make sure that you all know that pathways are not new. I want to be very clear on that. Pathways are not new. They are not new in University of Toronto. They are not new in Canada. They are pathways for medical Black students. They are pathway in health at the Dalalana School. They are pathway at TMU for the school for law. They are pathway for engineering. They are pathway for many programs. And this is important. The things we need to do to disrupt anti-Black racism and create space, intentional space of belonging for our students. And so this is why we are here. And I wanted to say a minute thank you to the partners who have been showing up and just been adding their voice and their support to the program, and you'll hear a little bit about that when I get to Practicum. So it's an intentional pathway to disrupt the reproduction of inequitable outcomes. Every single student you speak to in Canada, they will tell you, I had one Black teacher or I've never had a Black teacher. Right? We are addressing the Master of Teaching Race and Inclusion Report done by Kemp et al. 2020, and the University of Toronto Anti-Black Racism Task Force Report. We are trying to build an intentional pathway to attract, as I said, and support future Black educators. And you're going to hear about the support systems we have in place. And of course, we're disrupting the inequitable outcomes as students miss the benefits, of course, of having that representative role model to adopt that responsive and critical conscious pedagogy. So what is the application? Here is where you're excited about. What is the application process like? So I want to be very clear when I say this part. The application process for BFEP student, it's the very same for all our students. So there's nothing extra for you to do. I want to repeat that. There's nothing extra or nothing additional, because we know through anti-Blackness, even when we create opportunities, sometimes what that opportunity does is forces us to do something more, to prove our worth, to prove our value, to prove that we deserve to be here. So I want you to understand that there's absolutely nothing extra for you to do except show up, apply, and be your best selves, which you are. And so the first step is to identify your division, what you want to be in. Online, they'll tell you a lot of stuff about that. Please ensure that you read. Before I even get into this, however, I want to say something. I need you, when you're watching this and you're applying to make the application, for you to be very clear that you're following all the instructions. Every year, the university, like every university, I think, has to throw in the garbage, have to dispose of applications that are incomplete. Sad to say, this year in BFEP, we also had the same thing. So there are students who may have applied and they're looking, I don't hear anything about my application because it was incomplete. So make sure everything that is required must be there. So ensure you think about your division, provide your personal and contact information, provide your academic history, very, very important. That is there. Your transcript is needed. English language proficiency, if it is needed. It's not needed for many people, mostly for international students or second language speakers. Provide additional information. They ask you for a resume. They ask you for an experience chart to simply put in those spaces. Things that relate, an updated copy of your resume, get your resume done properly, make sure it's updated, any entrance awards you're applying for, and then you answer 3 questions. Every single student who is applying answer the same 3 questions. So no, there are no new BFEP questions. There are no additional BFEP questions. And then you provide your reference. However, before you get to answer the BFEP questions, this is the magic that gets you into the program, the BFEP program. You have to opt into the program. So at that point, you click opt in to say you want to be considered. So let me be very clear on that. If you're a Black student who are applying to the University of Toronto in the Master of Teaching program, you don't have to opt in. Your name goes into the bin, your application goes into the bin with all the other 2,000 or more than 2,000 applicants. I want to be very clear. You apply, it's not mandatory. However, when you choose to opt into a pathway, you are choosing to opt into a section where your application will be given a level or a different kind of consideration and a different kind of processing, because we have certain elements in the program to support, that is a word, to support Black applicants. So that is important. And I want to say this in another statement. It's
Good
funny
boy,
because
busy.
I'm going to ask you to keep your mics off, please. Make sure your mics are off. Thank you so much. Wonderful. So I want you to understand that this is important. I was at a conference this week at Nova Scotia. And this conversation about identity was a very big conversation that came up. And I was asked, certain things, and I'm going to be very clear on what I said at that, and it's actually recorded. Anytime I apply for a job or anything, and they ask me to self-identify, I always do. Self-identify that I'm Black, self-identify if I'm immigrant, self-identify if I'm Christian, self-identify my sexual orientation. Because I understand, this is what I do for my work. I understand the power of identity. And if we even hide who we are, people will know who we are the first day. So many of us, especially as Black people, we can't hide our identity. It goes into the room before we even show up. And so showing up as your authentic self is something that I'm non-negotiably about, because I need you to know who you're getting. You're getting a Black man. And so for me, self-identity is absolutely important in any situation. And so I know people do ask, will this information be used in certain ways? You are who you are. I always say, and your information is captured by the university if you opt into that, and we know who you are and we are supporting you. So that's what that is for. When you opt into that, you are opting in the entire program. And I want to be clear, there is no Black cohort where you stay with all the Black students for your entire program. Because I got that question a number of times last year, so I'm going to answer that right now. You do not stay with the Black students for the entire year, 2 years you are here. You are placed into a home cohort, which is 30 to 34 students. You mix with everyone. And then you are pulled out of those home cohort to be in your Black cohort, the BFEP cohort, and you do certain courses. For this year, 2024 to 2025, the courses are the research one, the anti-discrim, practicum, of course, and your electives. And we'll get to that later on. Those are assigned, those are standard for all BFEP students. However, you get to be in your cohort with other persons. And then the next part is your practicum. We all do practicum. Year 1 and year 2 candidates can opt for purposeful practicum into BFEP. That is updated. Once you're part of BFEP, you're part of the practicum placement. We place our students in Peel District School Board, in Toronto District School Board, in the Dufferin District School Board. And this year, we also place a number of students in the Peel, the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board. We have actually 4 candidates from there. So if you are in Mississauga, you're in Brampton, you're in Caledon, you're in anything in Halton area, and you're thinking, should I come to OISE? Will they able to place me in the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board or the Peel? The answer is yes. And at that time, I want to also say how happy I am to be in partnership with Halton District School Board. Shelita is here to speak, and with the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board. Those have been our new partners in BFEP and have been extremely amazing, especially with our fall placement. And so that is it. Then you have your electives. In our MT program, all our students take 2 electives. All our students, they take 2 electives. If you're in certain specialized area, like you're in one of the school-based cohort, those electives, one of them will be predetermined. If you're in the University of Toronto school cohort, if you're in the York region cohort, those things are all set already. Just in BFEP as well. If you're in BFEP, your 2 electives are set. This one, as a matter of fact, is being offered as we speak to the second year students. And this one, CTL 5704, will be the intercession elective for all BFEP students, start in next year, May. So this is a course they'll be taking in May of next year. We also have another one that if you're placed in a school cohort, you'd have been completed this one already, or we're doing that one. And then we get to our amazing students who have been holding the fort when it comes to the leadership of our youth arm. I've encouraged all our new students. We started out when we started doing BFEP. Anthonia, who you see is going to speak in a minute. She's going to be our first speaker in a minute. You see up there with AJ. Those people are foundation. You see on the next side, you see Jessica. These people are foundation. But at that time, we had 7 and 9 and 11 and 13 BFEP students. This year, we have 34 of you to choose from. And so I encourage Kadar, who is in the room. I encourage Isaiah to encourage your peers when it's time for leadership of the MTBEA for you to step forward, to put your name for leadership. And I intentionally have to say that this morning because as our students are getting into this program, there are many things that I have to tell Black students to make sure you do when you get into these university spaces. And one of those things is stepping forward for leadership. Too often we get left behind because we do not know. Okay, AJ will go first. Thank you. Too often we get left behind because we do not step forward. And I have to do this, and I say this for the recording, because too often I follow my energy, and my energy says I need to make sure I say those things, because when we get into these universities, some of us, we get left behind, we are not seen, we are almost like we fade away because we do not step forward. We need us to step forward. We need us to take up space. So when you get here in this program, I need you to understand the power of Black leadership that is necessary. And we need you to step forward. And of course, this was on our open house. It was on our welcome session. This was a couple years ago. I think with AJ, it's there again, Anthonia. Sometimes I forget how often I call on these people and how often they say yes, but I know for who I am that I don't actually forget them because we are absolutely connected. And I must say, and for the record in AJ, I was with another teacher, Black teacher in TDSB, and that Black teacher informed me, which is actually my student as well, past student, informed me how connected he was to you and another of my Black past student and 3 Black male teachers, so connected. It brought so much energy to me, and I guarantee you, before the year is done, I am doing something with all my Black male teachers. So yes, it's Andre Ariat, it's you, and it's Bryce. And my heart glowed because I taught all 3 of you in a different year. All 3 were taught in different years and different courses, and you're all connected. This is a power which is out there. I want to even start with you, Antonio, and the kind of connections you have made with our teachers out there. So that's what it's all about. So thank you so much. It's my time to stop talking, and I want to bring on, as I was talking about stupid persons and the power, I want to bring on our first speaker, and that's going to be AJ. Our speakers have 3 minutes each because it's very important that we go for time. And AJ, it's over to you to tell us why we need Black teachers, or tell us something as a Black teacher yourself and encourage the applicants to come in. Over to you, AJ.
Okay, so I guess I want to share about maybe 2 things right now. I asked myself when I was at OISE, I wanted to know why there's a lack of Black male educators. So that's what my research was in. And from my research and from everything I found, I also did a little introspection thanks to some of the courses I took with DR.ABC, the one that talks about identity as a Black educator. I realized that I was just like many of the students that were in these schools. I work in a high school, and I was tutoring one of them. He was in grade 9, and I was at about the same reading level as him. He was a bit behind at the time, but when I was his age, I never doubted that I was going to a post-secondary school because I had like great leadership in my home and stuff. It was my older brother, to be honest, a great role model. And I realized with that kid though, when I told him he could do the things I was doing, he found out I lived abroad and I taught there, and he was like, "Oh, I want to do that too." And then when I told him all you have to do is go to post-secondary school, get a degree in something, his face changed. He was like, "I don't think I'm ever going to do something like that." And it dawned on me that so many of these kids just don't have that role model or that reflection. And that's why it's so important that we need to be in these spaces. And another thing that I'm struggling with as an educator right now, I work in a Black neighborhood where my high school is, and something in the system I'm realizing that's letting a lot of the Black students down is we have like an issue with trying to get teachers to come to the school. Like people don't want to supply, don't want to work or take contracts in the school, so we have a lot of open positions. And no one wants to say it, but I'm 100% sure, and after conversation with some teachers, it's the narrative of the neighborhood, what CP24 says about that neighborhood kind of thing. So teachers don't want to come there. So then you have a whole group of kids now who are being like left behind and the system is failing them. So I don't want to take up too much time because I want other speakers to say things and hopefully we can come back. But those are the two things I want to share right now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we have to disrupt that narrative, right? We have to disrupt that narrative. Something you just said, AJ, is about what somebody said or what they heard on CP24. And I always say the power of disrupting a narrative is the way we show up. You know, talking about it. Oh, they're saying this about us. But how do we show up? How do we disrupt that? And so thank you for the way you are showing up. And you can follow AJ on social media. AJ, I really love your Instagram page. I love it. I love it because there's so many gems you are dropping. So many gems. And I'm going to encourage you to keep dropping those gems. And the way you show up authentically in those spaces, I think a lot of you appeal to a certain audience that I know that I may not appeal to because I'm getting more mature. I wouldn't say older. I'm getting more mature, and my language, my choice, my vocabulary is a little bit different. But you are on the ball in certain things, and I just love it. I just love it. So keep doing what you do. Thank you so much, Antonia. We are going to bring you in. And Antonia, it's over to you. Talk to us. Talk to us. Encourage. You always have this power of telling your story. I'm not sure what you're going to share today, but encourage the people out there who said, I don't want to go to OISE. I don't think I'm going to ever be a teacher. Talk to us, please.
Thank you, Dr. ABC. Thank you for sharing, AJ. And it's nice to see everyone that's here today. Well, I had that same thought. I never thought I was going to go into OISE or at least get into OISE because it didn't look like a space for me. But I'm going to try to keep it short this time because I can ramble on. Why do we need Black teachers? Because it's a critical need. As I mentioned last time we spoke, we live in a racist world and our children are in these schools. And if we're not there to support them, they're going to be lost. I was lost for most of my years, coming from Nigeria, where I saw teachers and adults that look like me and, supported me coming to this country. And I felt very much alone, very much like I didn't belong in any space. My family was busy trying to provide, so they weren't always there. And then when I was in school, I didn't see anyone I could speak to. So I was lost for a long time in my life. So one of the things I want to say as we're calling on Black teachers is we just don't need the representation. Yes, we need representation. But as I said last time, representation is the bare minimum. It's very much the bare minimum, because if you are in these spaces as a Black educator, but you do not understand your responsibility that we have inherited from our ancestors, from the people that have been doing this for years, then you're going to miss and even maybe do more damage. Because our children don't just need you to come there as a Black face. They need you to understand that this is a fight that we're in, that this is, I don't want to use words like war, but it really is, because we are in a space where we're not valued. We know what's going on all around the world. So children need us to be there, to disrupt, to protect. That is our responsibility when we become an educator. It's no longer about us. It's about providing for the next generation and the next generation. So I really feel like if you are going to come into this pathway, if you're going to become an educator, you need to know that it's a responsibility to support children's need, their identity, to empower them. There's so much research out there. There's so much information out there that you can read and come up and get your own knowledge. But being in the field, I go to so many schools. Right now, I'm just an occasional teacher, so I don't have a permanent school. But every school I go to, I am one, if not the only Black teacher in the school. And sometimes I'm in school with 80%, 85% of racialized children, right? Some of them get in trouble because their volume was too loud. I'm like, I am a Nigerian woman, and that is how our natural volume is. So if someone is there that doesn't understand that, and these children are getting in trouble just for being themselves, what do you think is happening to their motivation, to their self-esteem? So you need to be there to speak to these principals, to speak to these other teachers, to let them know that is not a reason for a child to be sitting out for recess, right? Because their volume was loud. So there's so much to talk about. 3 minutes is not enough time, but I just want to say that we do need Black teachers. We need Black teachers that understand the need. And as Natasha Harry said in the land acknowledgement, the ancestral acknowledgement, the education system is part of the problem. So we need people to come within the system to help disrupt and dismantle the way things are going right now. I'll stop there so I don't go on, but thank you. And I'm always here. I'm still here as a mentor in the BFEP and the BEA. And if you need to reach out to me, I'll put my email in the chat. And I hope you guys come through the system because it's a need that we have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anthonia. And this very conversation that you just had about being in the building and showing up. When we have our panel in January, of course, your invitation is on the way. A lot of stuff are on the way from my mailbox. I have a lot of stuff in my mailbox doing. I want that specifically. I want you to kind of expand on when you come into to talk to the present BFEP students. And I'm going to invite some other Black students from another program to be in the space so they understand the power of just showing up. But when you show up, how you need to show up. And it's a learning for many of us. So thank you. Thank you. A person who is showing up, and I fell in love with how you show up, is Shelita Walker, who is also one of my past students here, a powerhouse and a system principal with the Halton District School Board in Equity Inclusion. The way you showed up, the way you have been showing up, the way you show up even in a social space, like I always tell people, when you are who you are who you are everywhere you are. That's the original DR.ABC quote. You make sure you quote me. When you are who you are who you are wherever you are. Shelita, speak to us 3 minutes, because you can go on like Anthonia as well. So 3 minutes, I'm timing you, please.
I feel you're so wicked to give 3 minutes. Wicked, wicked, wicked. I'm going to hold you to 3 minutes, Dr. ABC. So good morning, everybody. I'm so happy to see faces and names on the screen. I really want to, I'm coming from a perspective where I'm on the tail end of being in a career of almost 30 years in education. And as Dr. ABC said, I have the honor and the privilege of being the assistant principal for human rights, equity, and inclusive education. So my message is for those of when you actually get in. So yes, 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 we need Black educators. As Anthonia said, it's more than just representation. But the question I always say, if you have been a product of the Ontario school system, it is more than likely that you've also been harmed within that system. And so as Black educators, what makes us say that after we've been in a place where we experienced harm, that we'd want to go back into that space? And the labor that you will experience as educators will also parallel some of those very experiences you've had as a child and in the bodies that you're in. So my message is really clear about how you balance that which is asked of you, that which you see needs to be done, and your own self-care, your own way of soothing whatever pains and hurts will come along this journey. And I don't mean to make it sound as if it's a horrible profession or anything like that, because it is very rewarding, but it is not without its challenges. The challenges that happen just simply because you're an educator, but also because in the bodies that you're in and all the intersectionalities that come with our bodies and our identities. And so my advice would be, one, to find your people. Right? We are in a board where 82% of educators identify as white. And so we have a significant gap in Black educators. And we also know from where I sit the ways in which they harm. So we have an affinity space that I created a number of years ago, almost 10 years ago, called Indigenous Racialized Educators Network. And we use that space to affirm identity, but we also use that space to build and support leadership. It's not that people do not have the skills to be a leader. It's more that they need sometimes to be in spaces where they hear that they can be leaders. So I would say for me, within my 3 minutes, balance what is asked of you. There's an insatiable appetite. This system will take as much as you're willing to give, to the detriment of your own mental health and well-being. So see this as a relay with a baton that you're running, not as a marathon, not as a race. So find your people. So whether it's an affinity group that already exists, or you are in that position in place that you need to create that, then I would say do that, because there is healing with community, there is empowerment within community, and it's an opportunity for you to know that you're not alone, and that the experiences you have are not because of your lack, but because of a system that's designed to not have you here. So I think that's my 3 minutes. But
Thank you so much. You just dropped some gems. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to encourage our present students, Isaiah, and I'm going to encourage Kadar to, when I post this video, to encourage the students who are in the program to check out the video and check out the comments. And those of you who are new or listening out there, I want to add myself to the pin for a minute. To those of you who are new and you're thinking about getting to OISE, what you just heard from especially from Shelita and Anthonia, are the gems that they're asking you to really think about as you're getting in a program like this. Too often, not just Black students, many students, because I work in administration, right? That they start the school and they go, oh, I didn't know, oh, I didn't expect. So we want to prepare you. We want to prepare you for this journey, and that is going to be amazing. Every time I come to graduation, I live my best life because I've seen the journey and I know what the journey is. And so thank you for that, Shelita. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everything that you do in and outside. And there's more things coming up where we're going to continue doing together, because BFEP, CBSE, anything, all Blackness, we are a part of, and we're there. Melissa Francis from Peel District School Board, principal. I must tell you something, Melissa. I heard from one of my students who is in your school, literally living their best life. There's like, Dr. Campbell, we need to tell you about our class. And I'm like, I know about your class. They'd be like, no, you place us on placement in the school. You don't know about it. They are loving that. The grade 6, grade 7, the teachers they are working with. Anthonia, I just want you to let you know, in this school, Sunnyview Middle School and Peel District School Board, they have intentionality in a way that it's something else. And I hope you're capturing what you're doing, Melissa, and I hope you're recording what you're doing, because I've been to your school. I've been a speaker in that space. I have seen you, how you navigate and protect students in that space. I won't get into that for the recording, but our Black TCs who are in your school are loving the energy and they are seeing what happens when intentionality and advocacy is in a building. And so I want to tell you thanks. I'm going to reach out to you because I want you and those 2 teachers to share something with my students. It's going to happen. Don't worry. All kind of email coming left, right, and center. Just don't hide it. Melissa, 3 minutes on the clock. Tell us why we need Black teachers and what you're doing over there in Peel to make sure Black teachers know that they belong in Peel. Please.
So thank you very much. Yes, I will try my very, very hardest to stay within 3 minutes. I have lots of things to share. I thought about what angle to come from when in my 3 minutes. Should I come from an angle of a parent, because I'm a parent of 2 Black boys that is in the education system, and I've had lots of heated discussions with teachers around the content that's being taught to my own children. I thought about maybe speaking from the perspective of an experienced educator, because I'm also an OISE graduate, and talking about my experiences of being the only Black educator for many, many years in a space. But I am going to stick with in my current role as a principal in a middle school, so it's only grade 6, 7, and 8, and some of the things that I have seen over my very short stint of being an administrator for 7 years, both VP and P, and some of the nonsense that I have seen. So we need more Black educators. I've got 3 reasons why. The first reason is because We need more educators that look like us so that they can see our children as their own. So over the years, I've seen non-Black educators provoke Black children to anger. I've seen non-Black educators misunderstand the things that Black children are saying and therefore want harsher punishments for Black children. I have seen non-Black educators have low expectations for Black children, and therefore we see Black children just not thriving. So we need more Black educators to care more about children, to push them when they need to be pushed, and to also pull them back when they need to be pulled back. So middle school is a special place. I've got about 630 11 to 14-year-olds. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has something to say. In that space, we need more Black educators to really speak to our children, to kind of steer them in the direction that they need to be going. At my school, we have a very thriving Black and Caribbean Students Association, and it is within that space that we focus and have high conversations about high expectations for the children. It's in that space that we give them leadership opportunities that are intentional. We know that those leadership opportunities might not come in other areas of the school. So in our BCSA, we try to make that a focus. We now have in our BCSA an executive committee where we have student leaders that are making decisions around the initiatives that we are doing, around the fundraising that we are doing, and basically making sure that they have a presence within the school. And then the hope is that they take those leadership experiences and then take that to be part of the larger school communities. For example, a student parliament. Now that we have given them those experiences in the BCSA, then they can take those experiences elsewhere. We are intentional in our BCSA with regards to the trips that they are going on, with the content that they are being taught, and with the connection with other schools as well. So we really try to make sure that in that space that they see love and care, but in that space, they also feel as if they know that we are there to answer any questions. We are constantly asking them how things are going. If they are feeling as if they are being discriminated in any which way, that is the space that we have those conversations. We also in that space prepare them for what we have in Peel called a regional learning choice programs. It's SciTech, it's IB, and within that program, if you can self-identify, Dr. ABC talked about self-identifying. If they can self-identify and still meet the criteria, then they can bypass the lottery system and get into those more rigorous programs. Currently in those programs, there are very few Black children. So what we are doing at the middle school level within our BCSA and really making that a focus with our Black students is trying to help them to meet the criteria because they're not meeting the criteria. And it's very intentional conversations that we have with them. It's very intentional conversations that we have with Black families to make sure that their academics are key. In that space, one of our teachers from this program had an opportunity to speak about her own experiences, and the kids were just mesmerized by what she was saying, because it's not about just being a Black face in a space. It really is about stepping out and helping the kids know that you are also there for them. Number two, as an administrator, we need more Black educators because I need a larger pool of Black teachers to hire from. I have a Black focused STEAM program like Dr. ABC had talked about. It is called an Agents for Social Change program. It focuses on African ways of knowing and doing. We have an African-centered classrooms, 2 in grade 6, 2 in grade 7, and we are now in the process of writing the curriculum for the grade 8 cohorts when the grade 7s move on. So within those spaces, I need to have Black teachers to teach some of the content. I don't need all Black teachers, but we do need representation. In this last round of hiring, I didn't have any Black educators that applied. So I need Black educators applying to positions like this so that I can hire Black educators. The last teacher candidate that came through Dr. ABC's program that was in my school, we hired on as an OT immediately because she was exceptional. She went on to do 2 LTOs in my building. And if she had stayed, she ended up doing something else. If she had stayed, I would have absolutely placed her to teach in that program because she is exceptional. We need to make sure that there's Black educators for myself as principals in order to choose from. And then finally, we need more Black educators because we need to have Black educators in positions of leadership after this. I need to be able to pull from different spaces within the educational system in order to help me do the work that I need to do on the ground level in the field as an administrator. We need to be able to disrupt and transform the change from all of different areas. Who's going to take over from Dr. ABC when he is no longer here? We need to be able to make sure that we are not only just thinking about the now, but in the future. And I'll end with this. I was watching Hidden Figures last night, and one thing came up in a line that Dorothy Vaughan, who was played by Octavia Spencer, had mentioned. And she said, any upward movement is a movement for all of us. So we need to build each other up and move each other along. Yes, making sure that we are taking care of our own mental health for sure. This job can kill you. We don't want that. We want to make sure that you are in spaces where we have support. I know in Peel, we have a Black administrators support network where we can reach out and connect with one another so that we can have those conversations. But we all need to move each other up in whatever areas of leadership that you can be involved with so that we can support Black students and Black families from all different angles and avenues. And
Thank
that's
you
my
so
7 minutes.
much. That's not 3 minutes, but guess what? No, we're gonna allow you because this is your second time speaking to us, right? So I'm not taking it to the time police or Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. It's funny you should say that. I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. When I have my present Black 34 court in January, I will be playing this video in one of the class, Kadar. It just came to me. There's some things you said, Melissa, some things that Anthonia said, some things that AJ said, some things that Shelita said, and I go, okay, I don't need to repeat it and cite you and quote you. That's too much unnecessary work for me. I need to play it. So in January, first class, when I finish the lecture, I'm going to make this a part of the lecture. This will be a part of my lecture. This is a part of my lecture. I'm using the video. Thank you so much. And I just want to say this. It's important I say this for the video. Mature adults. Now, I'm going to have to make sure I underline how important this is. Who is thinking about you want to go in teaching, please apply to come into teaching. I know something is going on in the atmosphere where people are saying to me, I'm in my 40s and I don't want. We need you. My answer to people is, if you become a teacher at 45, you have 20 years of teaching left in you. I don't think people realize that. You have 20 years of teaching in you. If you become a teacher at 50, you have all 15 years of teaching inside of you. So when I go into my school in OISE and I see mature students in their 30s and I see mom, I see dads, I see married people with 2 and 3 kids in my class, I giving them all the love because I need them in the classroom. So if you are a mature student listening to me and thinking, I don't want to give you an OISE because all them young people, take it from me. You have a space here, a cherished space here. Hashtag cherished. I'll tell you why I use the hashtag cherish another day. Yesterday I was in a event and the word cherish jumped out of my system in a certain way. The people from Algonquin school board as to email me, say, Dr. Campbell, you went in on the cherished. Yes, because a part of a research that I did on belonging that I'm doing talked about when students find a cherished space and the fact that school is the cherished space for many students. I have taught kids who have left from the shelter to my class and from my class back to the shelter. And my classroom was the cherished space. And I had to make sure it remained a cherished space. Thank you all so much for being here. Are there any quick questions? I think we're gonna leave that for the video. As you said, send your questions to us by email. I'm gonna put my email in the box as well. And Anthonia, could you put the info one for us? The info at it's info what MT info something. It's there. I'm going to make sure you get that. That's at the MT info. They answer the emails. They do answer those emails. So send them your question. Ask them about something. People ask about GPA requirements, mature student. That is considered. So when you're a mature student, there's going to be 3 questions that you get to answer. Your resume would tell us you're a mature student. Your teaching experience chart. People don't even realize how powerful that it tells us you've been teaching in another country, or you've been teaching in different ways, or you have been. We consider teaching across the board. Sunday school teaching, Sabbath school teaching, camp teaching. It is a part of education. All right. And yes, one is very important. You do need your undergrad to be a part of this program. You need your bachelor's. It don't have to be honors bachelor's. It'd be a bachelor's degree, and you'd absolutely apply. And it never hurt to apply either. So tell people to apply. Tell people to apply. I see you. 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 We're going to close there. We do have other thank you so mtinfo@utoronto.ca. That one, take a picture of that. That's really good. My email is there already. Please send me an email. Sometime if I don't have the answer, I definitely will forward it to somebody who does. And I want to see you. And Anthonia, she does not put her email there as just a props or to be cute. She answered the question. When I get richer, Anthonia, if you are not richer like me, I'll send you a check for all the times you answered Black people question about OISE when you never had to, and you do it. So continue, put rich energy on me, okay? I put rich energy on everybody. I put this for the video as well, because that is very, very, very important. Love you all. Enough respect. I hope to see some of those names. I actually copy the names. I love to see the people name, and when you show up. I also want to recognize there's a name in the room, Deborah Walford. Deborah Walford is a teacher at the TDSB, but she's also the president of ONAPSI, Ontario Associate for Black School Educators. Be a part of that. My energy just shifted calling your name, Deborah, because I want to let people know. People don't know how powerful people need to show up in spaces. When I was a young person, Victor, when I was a young teacher, new PhD, Isaiah, one of the first place I presented was in ONAPSI. Some of us, we think, and I'm putting this for the recording, that we are so above some of these places because we want to be at the biggest conference where everybody's seeing you. Well, I was seen at ONAPSI. I, Andrew Campbell, was seen at ONAPSI, and I will not stop to talk about the opportunities that came because I went to ONAPSI. I presented people like Alana Butler from Queens I met, and we are this friends today. We are published together because we met at ONAPSI. I want you to continue showing up in amazing spaces to live your best amazing life. And so I'm looking forward to having Deborah, having my BFEP students present at ONAPSI this year. It's gonna next year, 25. It's gonna happen. You're gonna see. We're gonna pull up. The Black men are gonna pull up to do their research. 3 Black men are gonna present their research. I already have it on my notepad. They don't know, but I already know that they're gonna be presenting at ONAPSI. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Enough love, enough love, enough love. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. ABC. Thank you.